Conversation 5 is the forgiving injuries conversation. The goal here is to heal the wounds that block trust and make it hard to risk and ask for what you need. You move into forgiving injuries by helping your partner understand and tune into your hurt. This partner then expresses regret and caring so that the hurt can be forgiven. The third step is asking for the connection that was needed when the hurt occurred so that it can now be addressed in a different way. Remember, the key to a powerful apology is to show you hear the pain and that this pain matters. It hurts you too.
Often for couples, there are hurts that somehow come up again and again and again. Mm-hmm. We just can't seem to just leave them behind. Often our partner says, "Are you still thinking about that? I've apologized for that already. Let's just leave it behind." But you can't. And they come up again and again, and they get in the way of you really connecting with each other, really feeling safe with each other, right? They somehow keep getting in the way of you really trusting each other. So I asked you to think about that in your relationship, and I think you did come up with one, yes? And Blair, it was an injury that you experienced just when you're a little girl, when you'd just become a dad, right?
Right, yeah. It was something that happened not too long after the birth of our daughter, and for me it just really cut right to the core of my being, and I guess into my deepest insecurities. And it was maybe a few months after she was born. It just seemed to come out of the blue one day. We were all together, and Arwen just told me that, "Oh, you don't love her. You'll never really love her the way I love her." So, and I interpreted that as, oh my God, it was just shattering. And it also interpreted as, okay, well, thanks for your contribution. You can now just sort of move to the outside, and you're on the margins now. And it was like this wall had just come down, and I wasn't in the inner circle of the family anymore. And I was so, taken aback and angry. I guess my initial reaction was just, my God, shock, and how can you say that? And I was so angry. I had to leave the house, and I had to walk around the neighborhood for a few hours just to decompress and try and make sense of this and what this was all about, And I came back, and Arwen said she was sorry, and we just sort of let it go. But it does come up. I bring it up during the course of our arguments, and
yes.
Especially when it's in relation to parenting, and if Arwen is criticizing my parenting style, and then it seems like, okay, there's a wedge that renews those memories of, okay, she's driving a wedge to move me to the outside again. And so it brings me back to that moment.
And that has been a theme for you guys when you would get stuck in your demon dialogue, wasn't it? That you would somehow feel like Arwen, the baby was getting all of Arwen's attention, right?
Yeah,
and that you somehow weren't part of this family group. You were sort of on the edge. That was part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. We had been through a lot to have our daughter, and we were very blessed when she arrived, and so grateful. And I had been there for Arwen, and so that's what made it hurt even more as well, I think. And I thought it's natural for a mother and daughter to have a very close relationship, and I accepted that to a certain degree, but there just still seemed to be a way that Arwen was walling me off from the two of them.
You felt walled off.
Yeah, yeah.
You felt sort of shut out and pushed to the side, and right.
Well, even to the point where it was like, okay, thanks for, thanks for being a sperm donor, and we have our special relationship now, and you're not really going to be part of it.
Then, in a way, the next step is to kind of put it in context, and perhaps to help Blair understand how that evolved for you. Mm-hmm. What was happening for you when you did this thing, which somehow has ended up being so difficult and so painful for Blair?
It took me a while to think about sort of where I was and what frame of mind I was in when that happened. And it was the injury for me came 6 days after, or less than 6 days, just a few days after Grace was born. After our daughter was born.
You were hurting yourself, yeah?
Yeah, I felt.
You told Blair?
Well, your brother's wedding came up less than a week after our daughter was born, and required traveling from Ottawa to Texas, and my mom was with us at the house, so she thought it would be a good idea for you to go and be the best man in your brother's wedding, or participate in some way, not the best man, but be there for him. And so she encouraged you to go, and I went along with it. But I felt that by the choice you made to leave us after just a few days after Grace was born was really hurtful to me, and felt, like abandonment. I think that when I said those horrible things to you, it was also after you had, a week of really intense work commitments, and in the evenings, and I felt really, really alone at that point. My mom had gone back to her place, and I felt like really I was alone in this, and I was worried about, our future as well, and being alone with Grace a lot, and it really felt like abandonment. And I think it triggered sort of this knee-jerk reaction in me, which comes from my upbringing, and that, I saw a lot of men in my life leave when I was very little, and it felt like that I should protect myself from that eventuality in our relationship. And so I think by that time I had sort of really written you off as someone who would leave too. And so that was what your panic, that was what your fear was telling you. He's a man, he's going to leave. There you are, he's gone. So yeah. So shortly after our daughter was born, it felt like, you had chosen first, to go to a different country, even though it was just, craziest 48-hour trip of your life, I'm sure. And, I had the support system there. It still felt like, to me, you should have been there. And for us. And then, the work commitments, and it just felt like a pattern was being established. Mm-hmm. And you suddenly felt this helplessness and this sense of, he's a man, he's going to leave me. Mm-hmm. So you found yourself turning and saying, it's okay. What you were afraid of is, which is, you don't love Grace, right? Yeah. You don't love us, you don't love our daughter. Right? Enough to stay. And enough to spend that time with us and be here for us when I felt we needed you. Right. So you sort of lashed out. I lashed out at you. And then, and you're right, the apologies that I've given you over time have always been, I'm sorry, but, you should have done this, or you shouldn't have done that. So I think you're right in that, I think the apologies in the last 2 years have been less than 100% genuine. Mm-hmm. Right. Does that help you to understand what was happening? Yeah, I mean, it does help. And, right. Of course, none of that was apparent at the time.
It was like a
Blair?
betrayal for me, you know, after how much support I had given you throughout the birthing process and in the lead up to our daughter's arrival, and, you know, all of a sudden to be shut out, it was just a betrayal. And I was just shattered, you know, when you said that. And, you know, it was like you had written me off as a failure right from the beginning and hadn't even given me a chance to prove myself as a father. And, you know, and then, you know, I started to doubt myself. And, okay, maybe I am a failure in your eyes. And, you know, that is my deepest fear, is, you know, letting you guys down. And so that is why it just cut to the core as well. And it was incredibly painful because, you know, I was seen as just an accessory to the family and no value added really to provide. And, you know, thanks for showing up, but, you know, go about your own thing. I mean, that's the way it felt. And it was very deeply saddening to, you know, have to experience that. And I mean, I don't think I could make sense of the full impact of it, you know, right afterwards, because it was so shocking. But, you know, I think over time that's what it has amounted to and what the significance of it
It's been very big,
to me.
been very big for you, because I always get that you really want to be a good husband, you really want to be a good father. That's incredibly important for you. So to hear this was really, really devastating.
Yeah, it was.
Is that the heart of it for you, Blair? Have you said the heart of it?
Yeah, that's the essence of it.
Can you respond to that, Arwen? Can you help Blair with those feelings? What happens to you when he talks like this?
I feel I feel a real sense of shame when I hear how much I've hurt you, because the truth is that at that time you had already proven that you were an amazing dad and an amazing husband. I'll never forget the strength you gave me when Grace was being born. I mean, you were my rock. And I'm so terribly sorry that I hurt you that way, and I hope that you understand how shamed I am.
How sad you feel and how you feel his pain. And you feel regret. And you feel so sad of hurting him.
I wish I could take that back. I'm so sorry. You are an amazing dad, and you are an incredible husband, and you are my rock and my strength, and you're everything to me.
Can you hear her, Blair? Does that help with that pain?
Yeah, I mean, that's so different from the other. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you know, let's just leave it. And
Right.
this is like a genuine, you know, apology. And
Right.
I think she understands, you know, the impact it's had.
Right. And is this what you need from Arwen to heal this? What do you need from her around this?
I need what she said just then, you know, that I have a contribution to make and I am a valued player in the family unit, and, you know, my role is important, and every daughter needs a father, and yeah, I need to be reassured that I can play a part and, you know, add value and
that you're really important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you needed Arwen to hear your hurt and to respond to it and show you that she responds to it, that it impacts her. And you also need she gave you what you needed almost without you asking, which is you need that reassurance.
Yeah, and an affirmation, you know.
Right.
So.
Good.
I love you.
I accept your apology and your lipstick. Leaving a kiss.